Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Upshift Podcast. The podcast that's all about racing. Today we are here to review the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and what a race we had. What a race we had. Very controversial, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of the most iconic races, I guess, of this year, and one of the most controversial races of this year. Definitely, actually, so far this is the most controversial race by far. This race, it was such a great race. I loved it. I loved every moment until the last few laps. That was pain because if you know me, I love Charles Leclerc. I love he's one of my favorite drivers. Him and Lando Norris. So yeah, it was nice to see how everyone got on. But let's get right into it. Now, the first lap was really good. Verstappen got off the line much better. Lewis Hamilton got off the line much better, and he was about to overtake Max Verstappen into the first corner, but it did not happen. They kept going through the corners. They went on to the Wellington Straight, I believe. I forgot what it's called. But they went on to the straight and then down into Brooklands. It looked like Hamilton had a very great run on Verstappen, but Verstappen defended brilliantly and held his position going through Brooklands. Now going down the straight to the run up to Cobbs, Lewis Hamilton got the slipstream again and looked like he was about to overtake, but as you can see on the screen, it did not end well for Verstappen, and also did not end up well for Lewis Hamilton. That crash is the single most controversial thing that has ever happened this year, and I am here for a little bit to break it down. In my opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but in my opinion, I feel like it was a racing incident, to be honest. Now, before everyone clicks off the video, all the Max fans click off the video, hear me out. Now, I just think it wasn't. I just don't think it was Lewis Hamilton's fault, to be honest. Not fully Lewis's fault, I think. I think it was a bit 50-50. I feel like Lewis could have backed off earlier, could have gone a little bit more to the right, but I feel like Verstappen closed the door. I think if you look on the onboard, I'll put it on screen right now. If you look on the onboard, it looks like he tries to turn in on him, so he squeezes him, notices he's right there, turns right back, and then he turns in again, it seems, and in my opinion, he closed the door a bit too harshly. I think he could have eased up on the wheel, and I think he squeezed Hamilton and inevitably caused the contact. But yeah, it was weird to see because these guys don't usually make mistakes all that often, Verstappen and Hamilton, and to see that much contact, because they had contact going into Brooklands, they had contact going into the first turn, and the second turn. They had bumping wheels basically the entire time. So to all come to a T, it was weird to see, because these guys don't make mistakes all that often, except in Baku where they both made mistakes. Well, Pirelli made Max Verstappen's mistake. So yeah, it was. I feel like it was inevitable. How close these guys are racing each other. I feel like it was bound to happen at some point. I just didn't expect it to happen here. I knew these guys were closer than they did in other Grand Prix, but it was a bit soon in my opinion. But we move on, I guess. But a lot of people blamed Lewis for that incident, which I do get, and a lot of people blamed Max, which I also do get, but in my opinion, it was 50-50 and very much a racing incident. But unfortunately, what came out of all this was some very, very, very racist stuff. I'm not going to show it because it's very serious, and even if you hate a driver, I don't like a lot of drivers. I've been very open about my disliking of Mazepin, but I don't I don't feel the need to make comments about him being Russian or something. Uh, even if you dislike a driver, to make comments about their race in general and call them racist slurs is something that should not be taken lightly and should never ever ever happen. To say I'm disappointed by the F1 community is an understatement, to be honest. Um, and this whole reaction to that crash was it was horrible to see. The F1 community all of a sudden just I know they've not liked Lewis. I like Lewis, you guys know that. But to see so many people turn on him, so many people saying that he doesn't deserve anything in life. He doesn't deserve his championship. He doesn't deserve his wins. He doesn't deserve his podiums. He doesn't deserve his fastest laps. He doesn't even deserve an F1 career. It is taking it so far out of reach. Drivers make mistakes. People have made mistakes. Schumacher made mistakes. Senna made mistakes. Prost made mistakes. Hakkinen made mistakes. People make mistakes. Was this Leon Lewis? Maybe. I don't know. But my opinion was a racing incident. But if people think that these drivers are like robots and they should do everything perfectly, they're wrong, because they're human beings and they have emotion. They have the, I wouldn't say intellect, I guess. I don't know. Have the feeling to make mistakes. People make mistakes. So to take this as, because Lewis doesn't make mistakes all that often. But this was blown so far out of proportion. And something I also want to quickly mention is Max's crash. It was a 51G crash. I understand. Again, this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. I am entitled to my opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. This is not going to be a very popular opinion. I know for sure. But hear me out. I think that people took his crash way too far. Way too far. Way too far. It's a 51G impact. I know that. That's hell of an impact. Straight into the wall from around 180 miles an hour to a dead stop. I know that's a big crash. But with that being said, to take it into like a context where all of a sudden it's Max almost died, which he didn't. And I know saying that he didn't die is a stupid comment, but he didn't die. And obviously that is an amazing thing. We're all happy that he didn't die and he isn't injured. We're all happy about that. We all want all the drivers to be safe. But people are blowing this way out of context. Saying that Hamilton did this on purpose. Hamilton tried to kill. I've seen comments that said Hamilton purposely tried to kill. This is an assassination attempt on Verstappen's life. To take it so far as it was Verstappen barely made it out alive is just not true. And now I'm thinking, and actually I'm not thinking, I know for sure, if the roles were reversed and Verstappen was on the inside and Lewis was on the outside and Verstappen hit Lewis, the reaction would not be the same. People would blame Lewis. That's all it is. I guarantee, I don't think anymore, I guarantee without a doubt in my heart that if the roles were reversed and that was Lewis on the outside, people would still find a way to blame Lewis, which is sad. But to go back to my point, Verstappen's crash was big, but we've seen bigger crashes. We saw a big crash last year with Magnussen and Albon, where it was basically the same incident that Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen were, where Albon was on the inside, Magnussen was on the outside. They made contact, and Magnussen went right into the wall. No one said anything about that. No one said it was an attempt on Magnussen's life. No one said it was a near-death experience for Magnussen. No one said it was someone was trying to kill him. Kvyat had a very big, very, very, very big crash last year when he ran out of the curb in Magnussen Beckett's and had a puncture and went straight into the wall. No one said anything about that. No one said it was a near-death experience for Kvyat. No one said anything. Barely anyone said anything. So to take this so far out of context, to say it's Verstappen almost died is not true. I know it was a big crash, and I keep saying that. I know it was a big crash, and we're all happy to see Verstappen alive and well. But don't blow us out of context. And to say he was hospitalized, he wasn't. He wasn't hospitalized. He was taken there. It's a precaution. There's a very big difference between hospitalized and taken to the hospital for a checkup. What Verstappen was taken to the hospital for a checkup. To make sure he wasn't in need to be hospitalized. On the other hand, hospitalized is being what Romain Grosjean, in his one of the most terrifying incidents I've ever seen live ever. His crash in Bahrain was one of the most terrifying things. He was hospitalized because he was injured to the point where he had to stay in the hospital. That's what hospitalized is. Max was taken to the hospital to make sure he did not have to be hospitalized, or he did not have any injuries, or he was okay to race next week. He wasn't in any danger. He wasn't there where he was so injured he had to be taken to the hospital, like Grosjean was, like Juan Manuel Correa in the sad crash that took Antoine Hubert's life. That's hospitalized. That's the major difference, that people are taking this crash way too far. So yeah, that's my opinion. We haven't even got through lap 1 of the race, but that's my opinion. It's sad to see all these people just completely drag Lewis Hamilton through the mud, saying that it was disrespectful to celebrate a win at his home Grand Prix. And it was disrespectful. Verstappen's comments were idiotic and stupid after the race. What he tweeted. That was idiotic and stupid. What Helmut Marko and what Christian Horner said were idiotic and stupid. That this was a hollow victory for Lewis Hamilton. He doesn't deserve anything, and he deserves a race ban. And the fact that Red Bull are taking it so far as to get lawyers to try to make sure that Hamilton gets a race ban. That's taking it too far, in my opinion. Lewis got penalized. Should he have gotten more? Maybe. Did he get more? No. Is it in the past? Yes. We can't do anything about it. What are they going to do? Give him a drive-through penalty right now? They can't. It's in the past. It's already happened. We can't do anything about it. So, Christian Horner and Marko and Verstappen, even Albon himself, who's a guy in your team, heavily implied that he thought it was a racing incident. Albon, a guy who's in your team, said it was a racing incident on his Instagram story. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Martin Brundle, Crofty, a long list of other people who are actual drivers. And let me tell you, we're fans. We don't know how it works in the cockpit, how these drivers work in the cockpit. Charles Leclerc knows. Charles Leclerc was right there. He was right behind. He saw everything that happened. And he said it was a racing incident. Because they know what happens in the cockpit. We don't know. We can only simply guess what goes through. So, again, and Red Bull, to take this, again, so far, to get lawyers, that's what just bothers me so much, to get actual lawyers, to get people to give Lewis Hamilton a race ban is just, it's taking it so far where it doesn't need to be taken so far. And this is what Max Verstappen ended up saying. Glad I'm okay. Very disappointed with being taken out like this. The penalty does not help us, and doesn't do justice to the dangerous move Lewis made on track. Watching the celebrations while still in the hospital is disrespectful and unsportsmanlike behavior, but we move on. Man, it's his home Grand Prix. And he did not know. He said after the race, he didn't know that he were in the hospital. He didn't know. And it's his home Grand Prix. And he got a 10-second time penalty. And to get that time penalty and still win the Grand Prix, he deserves a celebration. And to win, I believe, 10? Maybe, I don't remember. English Grand Prix is an achievement to celebrate. It's something to celebrate for, to win at your home. And I guarantee if Max crashes Lewis out after Belgium, which is in the Netherlands, Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, if he crashes him out, he would celebrate because it's your home Grand Prix. Again, Red Bull are taking this so far. It's unbelievable, and I'm not trying to be biased, and I do think Hamilton has to take some of the blame, and Verstappen has to take some of the blame too. I think it was a 50-50 thing. I think Lewis could have moved over to the right a bit more and should have backed off a little bit. Verstappen should have backed off as well, and he shouldn't have closed the door. People make mistakes, man. It's sad to see everyone taking this too far. So we're 17 minutes in, I think, and all we've talked about is the lap 1 incident. But let's go through the rest of the race. After that crash, Charles Leclerc took the lead into Cobb's corner and stayed there for a while as the red flag came out because they had to repair the barriers. But Charles Leclerc actually ends up taking the lead. Red flag goes out. Race is stopped. And Mercedes actually, after the race, confirmed that if the red flag did not happen, Lewis would have been out of the race because he had a wheel rim crack, something like that, something along those lines, and a broken front wing. That not like a end plate broke off, but like something mechanically happened with the front wing, and they had to repair it under red flag. But going after the red flag, race restarts. Charles Leclerc builds up a massive lead on Lewis Jabableton. And Charles Leclerc, by the way, ready off the bat, Charles Leclerc, you win the Upshift Driver of the Day award. He should have gotten the win, in my opinion. He deserves the win. And also Lewis deserves the win as well. Charles, he did so well this Grand Prix, and I'm so happy to see him back on the podium. But he did an amazing job. But his engine problem that got the heart racing for me. Him saying that the engine was cutting out what's it called? The mapping of his mapping of the engine. Sorry, had a software issue that caused the engine to cut out a little bit over the course of like 5 laps. So it kept cutting out, and Charles was like, "Oh my God, the engine!" And I immediately had flashbacks to the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2019, where his first victory was cruelly denied in the same fashion. But yeah, he almost got the win this week, which shows how much Ferrari have improved. Now they get 3 podiums. Has Sainz gotten 2 podiums? I think it's 1. So they got 2 P2s so far this season. So that is very, very, very good for them. And it shows their improvement from their abysmal 2020. Sorry. So yeah, I'm so excited to see Sainz and Leclerc. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to the U.S. Grand Prix. I'm actually going to the US Grand Prix, so I'm gonna be there supporting my boys. So I'm so excited to see them live. So I'm really excited, and I'm so excited to see these guys, how Ferrari improves throughout the season, to see if they can actually win a race, because Leclerc got very close to winning this race. But let's see if they end up going and winning this race. Now, also on the opening lap of the red flag opening lap, Sebastian Vettel ended up spinning in the Aston Martin. He did not have a great race. He ended up DNFing, but I think Sebastian needs to be a little bit more consistent, because the pressure's definitely now a little bit on him, because there are now rumors that Hulkenberg might be there, that maybe some other guys might be in there, might be trying for the seat. So yeah, he's definitely a little bit under pressure now, and he needs to step it up a bit, because Lance Stroll's not going anywhere, let's be honest. So I think he needs to step it up just a little bit. I believe Lando Norris made a move up into P4, P3. He made a move on Valtteri Bottas up into P3 and stayed there for a very long time. And with Lewis's 10-second time penalty, I almost guaranteed he was going to be in P2. But when the first round of pit stops came along, McLaren decided to not help him. They did a 6-second pit stop. It was bad for Lando, and he lost a bunch of time to Valtteri Bottas. That's now 2 race weekends in a row where he is denied P2. So yeah, it's crushing for Lando. I know he's disappointed, but he's had an amazing season so far. He's done so well. So to see him again in 2020, he ended the season with 97 points, and now we're 11 races in. Yeah, 11 races in. He has 113. So that's more than the entire 2020 season combined. So it's really cool to see Lando really step up his game, and show McLaren why it was a good idea to sign him for multiple years. And Daniel Ricciardo, good weekend from him. He finally steps up and shows why McLaren signed him. He ends up in P5, actually just behind his teammate. So a very good points haul for McLaren in their battle with Ferrari. But I do think, Ferrari ended up getting more points than them, because McLaren got 22 and Ferrari got 26, because Sainz ended up in P6 and Leclerc ended up in P2. But going through the race order, going through the race a little bit more, there's a massive, because Perez crashed out in the sprint qualifying. There's a massive train from Alonso, Raikkonen, and Perez. And it seemed like he just couldn't get there, and he couldn't get past him. But yeah, it's weird to see Perez struggling so hard like this. But I do think he'll be. Don't worry, he'll be back. As much as I hate to say it, because I'm an Albon fan, which sucks. But I think he will be back, and he will be pretty good. He'll be very very on the pace. I think Hungary is a track that definitely is pretty good for him. So we'll see how he performs then. But he finishes, I believe, in P16. Yeah, P16. That's not great. He got lapped by Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. And it was just bad for him this weekend. He actually had a collision with Kimi Räikkönen going into Club, I believe. I think it was Club. He ended up having a incident with Kimi Räikkönen where he wasn't penalized afterwards, but I think it was a little bit more on Perez maybe. I think it was another racing incident, to be honest. There's a lot of racing incidents this weekend. But yeah, I think it was a bit of Perez's fault. It's more so Perez, I feel like, than Kimi Räikkönen. But let me know in the comments down below. Now, another guy who did not have a great race was George Russell, who will be next week's video, by the way, with maybe a special guest, possibly. We'll see. But he did not have a great race this week. He ends up finishing in P12. He almost got points again. He did not have a great opening lap. He lost a bunch of positions in the opening lap. He went from P9 to P13, I believe, and then he stayed in P12 for the rest of the race. He didn't really do anything, which is sad. But I do think he'll get points this year because he's gotten into Q3 twice now in a Williams. So I think he'll be right up there very, very, very soon. And now another guy who had a pretty good race, actually, was Alonso. Fernando Alonso. He's doing pretty well for himself now in that Alpine car. He goes from P7 and stays into P7. But that Alpine car is not a very great car, but Alonso's doing well. And I'll admit, I was wrong. I thought that Alonso wouldn't be good at all, but he is pretty decent now. I think he's done pretty good for himself so far this season. So I'm interested to see how the rest of the season will play out for him, and will he possibly get a podium this year? I think if he gets a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more comfortable in that Alpine, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Now going through the finishing order of the Grand Prix. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. Charles Leclerc was leading every single lap throughout the whole Grand Prix until lap 49 out of 52. No, lap 50 out of 52, where Lewis Hamilton overtook him for the lead, cruelly snatched away from him. But he drove. He should be proud of himself. It was such a good race for him, and it's definitely a race to be proud of for Ferrari and him. So it definitely, it shows the progress Ferrari have made. So I'm excited to see what these guys have in store. And Lando Norris had a very great race. He was in the podium position actually for a while, up in P3 when Bottas was in P2. But he ended up getting overtaken by Lewis, and Valtteri Bottas ended up getting overtaken by Lewis as well. And they was told not to fight each other. So team orders down in Mercedes, same old for team orders down at Mercedes. So now going through the finishing order is Verstappen and Vettel, Sebastian Vettel, DNF, both of them respectively. Mick Schumacher for one of the first or the third time or second time, I don't remember, just a little bit. Schumacher gets outpaced by his teammate Nikita Mazepin. Mazepin was just overtaken by Perez, who is behind Raikkonen and Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi, or Italian Jesus himself, George Russell, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas, Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton. The fastest lap was by Perez. He does not get the point because he is not in the top 10. The fastest pit stop was from Williams, and the driver of the day, the official one, was Charles Leclerc, and the upshift driver of the day as well goes to Charles Leclerc. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I'll actually give you guys 3 videos next week. I will be doing this podcast again next week for the DTM race. I'm excited to do for my first ever full-on DTM breakdown, DTM podcast episode. So I'm interested to see that. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the Grand Prix, and I'll see you on for, I think, I forgot what circuit it is. There are a lot of circuits on the DTM calendar where I have no idea. I didn't know that there was a Norris ring, I'll be honest. I didn't know. It's something I can't pronounce. I'll just put it there. I don't know how to pronounce that. So thank you all. I'll see you guys very, very, very soon. Goodbye. Have a good day. Peace out.